What is up, guys? Alex from ANAK Creates here, and today I want to talk to you about backing up your files and backing up your system so that you have minimal downtime if anything goes wrong in the rare case that it does. So we're going to talk about that and some of the softwares and systems that I would recommend. Let's get into it. So, backing up your files and your whole system in general is such a good practice to get into because hard drives crash, things go wrong, you accidentally delete stuff, whatever it is, you need to have a backup and a good backup system in place so you lose as little work as possible if that ever happens to you. Things can go wrong in the weirdest ways, whether you're installing something and the installer goes wrong. If you accidentally delete a file while you're working on the project that day, you can always get it back. If files get corrupt, you have a previous version you can pull from. If you get robbed or your backpack gets stolen with your hard drives or your computer in it, or if there's a power outage that fries your hard drive, or just your computer decides to die, because we all know technology is not always the most reliable, so it's always good to be prepared. Now, there are two things that you should be backing up on a regular basis. One is your files, your actual work files, your documents that you're using, videos that you're editing, the music you're creating. The second thing you need to back up is your actual system. And this is something that a lot of people don't think about all the time. But if you really can't afford downtime to re-download and reinstall and set up all of your preferences the same way that you're used to, when your computer dies, your whole computer dies, and so does all of your settings, all your software, all the updates, all of your license files that are on your hard drive, they're all gone. So it's just so much easier if you actually have a full system backup that you can just restore from or boot from and not be too far behind where you left off. Now, when you're backing up your system, a really good thing to look into is creating a bootable clone backup, which means you have an exact clone of your whole system that you can literally boot off of an external hard drive or restore from that. If you have to get a whole new computer, you can copy that right onto your new computer and you're back up and running, no problem, basically right from where you left off. Now, before we talk about the softwares that I would recommend and that I use, let's first talk about the different types of backups you can do. First is physical on-site backups, and that means copying your files onto another hard drive. So let's say all your work files are on either your computer hard drive or on your external work drive, making sure you have an exact copy of all those files on at least one other hard drive. I try to maintain 2 backups, so I actually have all of my files in 3 total places. Now, this is literally multiple drives, not multiple places on the same drive, because if the drive crashes, you're still out of luck. So yes, it costs to get more drives, but for the small cost of another drive, you won't lose days and days worth of your time and work, and potentially irreplaceable content. A solution that is out there that I personally use is called RAID drives, which is a system that basically shows up as one drive on your computer where you can copy all your files to it, but it actually splits it up among different drives or has 2 drives that are exact clones of each other. There are different RAID systems with different numbers, and you can look into those different systems to see which one works for you. But regardless what system you use, whether it's just copying the files onto different hard drives using a RAID system or literally burning CDs, the key point is to have at least 2 versions of it off of your main work drive so that nothing can happen. Now, another system is offsite storage, which literally could be taking one of those 3 versions of the file, one of those hard drives, and bringing it home with you at night if it's from the office, putting it in a different building, giving it to your neighbor, or giving it to a friend you trust. This helps if anything happens to your house or your office, if there's a fire, if there's a flood, if you're robbed, anything like that. Things can happen, and it's nice to have an offsite version of your files. Another offsite system that a lot of people swear by is cloud backup storage system. Now, this is not Dropbox or Google Drive. These are systems like Backblaze or Carbonite or SugarSync. These are websites that literally just have server farms that you back up to, and they automatically back it up on their end, but they're designed to basically be mass remote storage backups of your files. Now, most of what I've just talked about refers more to your files than your actual system clone or your bootable backup. That is just as easy to have a hard drive that you clone your system to maybe once a week, and maybe you take it somewhere else for safekeeping. The only time you're generally going to use the bootable backup is if your computer crashes and you need to, restore your system. So that's a very immediate use, unlike files where sometimes you can not touch a file for years and then suddenly need to find it again. So you need a secure backup system to keep files potentially for years. That's where big RAID systems or cloud backup really helps, so that's worth looking into. Now, some of the softwares and systems that I use for my backups. A system that I use is literally just have 2 backup drives that are basically the same size as my main work drive, so it's very easy to just back them up. Now, I typically use syncing software, which just makes it a little bit easier, so I don't have to copy the whole working folder that I'm using every single time. It just scans it and takes the files that have changed and copies it onto the new location, which can save hours. One of the main softwares I use for this is called Get Backup Pro, which does a lot more than just the folder syncing. It also does bootable backups of your system, so it's a good one to look into. You can get it through SetApp for $9.99 a month, or you can buy that software outright for $20. This software makes it very easy to scan one folder and make sure it matches another folder, and use the backup function so that it removes files that you don't want anymore in the backup location. Sometimes softwares like this default to sync, which is not what you want. You want it to actually back up, which means it will delete old files out of the backup area and update files that you want updated onto the backup area, so there's never any confusion. It's just an up-to-date version of your project on your backup drive. Now, for backup hard drives and RAID systems to keep all your files sorted and backed up, there's so many great systems out there, so just start looking around. Leave a comment below of either what you use or if you want to see what I use and how it works. Now, for softwares that I use to make a bootable clone of my system, I use Get Backup Pro for that as well, but I also like Carbon Copy Cloner or Super Duper, which both do phenomenal jobs. They're both very simple. If you buy either one of those, you get a scheduler. You can actually have it schedule to back up your system on off time, so it's not interfering with your work. Carbon Copy Cloner, you can try for 30 days for free, and then it's $55 Canadian. Super Duper, which is really great. It is free to use, and you can unlock the full version of it, which gives you a few more features for $40 Canadian. Now, the key points that I want you to take away from this video is to make sure that you're doing regular backups. Make sure you're backing up your files every night. Second, make sure you're backing up your system maybe every week so that you're not left in the dust if your computer crashes or something goes wrong with an install. Third, make sure you have 3 different redundancy backups of your files in 3 different places, whatever system you're using, and that you know where they are so that you can actually find them if anything happens. Whether that be physical hard drives or a RAID system that you back it up to, a hard drive that you take with you so that your files are in 2 separate physical locations in the world, or a cloud backup system that is designed for safe, secure backups offsite. But that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you use one of these systems or have a system of your own, please leave a comment below to the software or the hard drives or whatever it is that you use. Let's help each other out and find the best systems that we can. If you have any more questions about the systems that I use or my methodology of organizing my files and my backups, please leave a comment down below. I'd be happy to make more videos on this topic because it's such an important thing, especially for creatives. You never want to lose that little nugget of gold. Give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful, and subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you in the next video. Peace.